Absolutely.
Hi guys, welcome to session 3 of Travel Entrepreneurship Development Program. Today is knowing your customers. And you guys have all met Maggie before that. You've done great Entrepreneurial, but Maggie is our Chief of Operations. Maggie has been here since the beginning. She has seen or has reviewed over 200 pitch decks. She is the queen of stamps and which is most of the time it's overcomplicated for people, but she seems to get it. So if you ever have questions about that, she's the person to talk to. She is the heart and soul of what we do here every day. For the community, and she's the reason that we actually have this program. So I will hand it off to me.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I would submit that I've actually seen 200 decks per year.
Oh.
For 7 years.
Oh.
It's a lot of decks. All right, so today we're going to talk about knowing your customer. But the more important thing is knowing what your customer wants. If you don't have customers who want your stuff, they're not going to buy your stuff and you don't have a business. So we do a lot of customer discovery and then validation of our products. You've been here before for the program. So this is our program focusing on entrepreneur education so that people who haven't been familiar with how startups work can learn about it. And hopefully we have a roster of mentors that can help you if you have specific problems. And through the 10 weeks or 10 sessions that we're going to do here, we should cover the whole gamut of doing a startup business. You met Roshana, she's our hostess. It is I'm talking to you today. Okay. All right, you guys have had the opportunity to introduce yourself before, not go ahead. All right, so now we are in session 3, which is knowing your customer. And you get a lot of me this week. On Wednesday, I'll be back and I'll be talking about understanding your market. And that is the TM song garbage that Roshana mentioned, but you will understand it by the end of the day. Here are the rest of the slides.
Hi there, welcome on in.
Okay, technical difficulties.
Give us 2 minutes. We're just trying to figure something out.
Yes, sorry.
In the meantime, we do have snacks and cold beverages at the back.
Oh yeah, remember how it's must be snacks? So right back there.
Everybody seeing all this? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody wants to get in. So how do we know if we're building something that people want to talk to people? So there's a reason that you started your business. You have a passion for something, or you discovered a problem and you created a solution. Now that we have identified a problem, we have to find out if it's a problem for other people or if it's just a problem for us. You know, a lot of people think that, oh, it's a problem for me, it must be a problem for everybody else. That's not the case. And that's why you have to go out and talk to customers. Does it serve a problem in the market, not just my problem, but in the market? What is the makeup of the customer who will buy my product? Who is my competition? And don't be tempted to say that there is none, because there is, even if it's status quo. That the problem isn't big enough that people are making do whichever way they're solving it for themselves right now. So you have to offer a solution that is better than not doing anything. Right? How much should we charge? We need to talk to our customers and figure that out. We'll know what it costs to build whatever our product or service is, but we want to understand before we spend a lot of money building a prototype or going into production, understanding how much the customer is willing to pay to find out whether we have a business. If it costs you $7 to make it and they're only willing to pay $5 for it, you don't have a business. You have a losing business, but you're not going to make any money at it. And then look at the trends in the industry. So we see decks all the time right now that are all about AI. So even if it has nothing to do with AI, you're saying that it's AI enabled. I think that means that they use AI to help create some of the marketing problems. All right, so this is the normal process for your business. You ideate, come up with the idea, you design it, you produce it, and you market and sell it, and then you iterate. You do this again. So once you start on this journey with customers, you want to continue on the journey with your customers throughout the lifetime of your company, because your customers will tell you what else your products can do to make them happy. So if you don't want to boil the ocean, you don't want to solve every problem for everybody, but once you have the solution that you're solving your problem with, you go out and talk to customers and they may be able to give you other aspects that your product can solve. So it's a lot of appealing to you. So customer discovery needs to come in before you actually start designing, so that you're designing something that people want. It's a two-part process. So we're going to go out and we're going to talk to the customer. 3-month stream is great for doing this. You get a big cross-section of people. We just did a startup weekend this past weekend, and that's where people sign up. And it starts on Friday night and goes all day Saturday, all day Sunday. But on Friday night, everybody pitches their idea, everybody's there, vote on the idea, and then they pick we could have 5. So there are 5 companies that are formed based on those 5 ideas, and everybody else joins the team. So that everybody together is going through the process of building the company. And they only had time to do the first part of this process. They went up to 3-month street on Saturday morning. One of the teams talked about how everybody's going over. Some of the words were anyway, they had a good time talking to people. The ones that went out earlier had more drunk people than the ones who went out soon now. Right, and then we're going to take back the information that we have found out from talking to people on 3-month street or wherever. There could be other places. If you're doing business to business, you may need to go to a trade show for that industry so that you can talk to people that have knowledge of what the problem is and what possible solutions are. So you can gather real intelligence about how they would like to see your product go. You're going to then go back to your office, your home, wherever, and see if you can tweak and design something that satisfies your need to have this solution, but also to appeal to customers. So if you went out and did your customer discovery and they said, we'd like to put blue 10 people out of 15 said they wanted it to be blue. To be blue, I would make it blue. Like, I don't care what color it is, but if that's something that appeals to your customers and you can incorporate it, the color is not going to cost you. Then you should incorporate it. Then you can make a prototype, and then you go back out and talk to the customers. So when you're questioning your customers, if they're willing to, yeah,
That's if you could speak a little bit louder. Mhm.
okay. I'll try to shout a little bit. When you're talking to your customers the first time around, at the end of the questions, we have, all right, if this is something that you're interested in, can I take your name and contact information? So once I come up with a prototype, I can show it to you and ask you some more questions. So you're building your customer base by talking to potential customers. So we've got a few steps before we actually go out into the public to ask questions. We need to be able to describe the problem that as it came to us and what we're trying to solve. We don't want to tell them about the solution when we first start talking to them. We want to ask them about the problem. And then we do have to be able to describe what we think our solution is so they can give feedback on that. So we have to craft these questions in an open and unbiased way. Open meaning you're not leading them to a yes, no answer. You're leading them to questions that require a little bit more thought and a little more conversation. So don't be intimidated. It's 12 questions. It looks like a lot. And they are not actually in your book. So we will be sending them to you in 2 minutes. And I have them in a format where it's spread out enough that you can actually look at the questions and craft one that applies to your business. So you're going to describe the problem. Have you ever experienced this situation? You don't have to call it a problem. You can just call it a situation. And if they have, you're going to ask them if it's a problem. Is it something that they would like to deal with in a better way than they currently are? Is it a problem? Where and when do you experience the situation? So you know how the problem came to you, but you don't know how the problem arrived for other people. So this is great intelligence because it can lead to different aspects that you can work into your solution that you didn't think of. Sometimes it didn't occur to you as a problem in the same way as it occurred to other people. So where and when, and how are you currently dealing with the situation? As I said, if they say, it's not a problem. I don't deal with it, I just ignore it. I slap a Band-Aid on it, it's no big deal. Maybe you can move on to your next idea. All right, how often do you experience the problem? So it's a problem that only occurs once or twice a year, then they may not be willing to pay for a solution, or they may not be willing to pay very much for a solution. That's why the frequency of the problem is very important to know. If it's like your car breaks down, it only happens once a year, thank God, right? Because when the car breaks down, that's a big problem. You need to fix right away. So just because it only happens once in a while doesn't mean you can't charge a decent amount of money for it. Because if it's a critical piece of what you need to get your daily day done, then very many people. Okay, how interested are you in an easier solution on a scale of 1 to 10? Again, we're trying to measure how much they're willing to invest in solving the problem. Scale of 1 to 10. Right? Now, how many others do you know who experience the same situation? And if they're chatty and you wish to talk with them some more, you can say, okay, what types of people do you know who experience this? Is this your brother? Is it your mother? Is it your neighbor's kid? So you can start to hone in on who your customer base might be. If it's the children, oftentimes the customer is going to be a parent, but you know that you're going to market with the children in mind to the parents. All right, how long should you have to wait for the solution to work? So, you know, there are a lot of drugs where you have to take them for a month before they start working. I think my allergy tells us like that. You have to take it for a month, and then if you take it daily, then it's more effective. If you're going to get your nails done, how often does that happen? Every 2 weeks? Well, what if we could make your nails last 4 weeks? So you would have less interruption of your daily life. And if they're already willing to do it twice a month, they and it lasted and looked good for a month, I'm sure that they would be interested in doing it just once a month. So frequency of having the solution is also important to know. And how much time are you willing to invest in learning the solution? So sometimes you've heard the expression, the cure is worse than the disease. So sometimes with software especially, it's so complex to learn how to use the software to solve your problem that management thinks it's going to be great because everybody's going to solve this problem. And then the people that work there don't use it because it's too complicated. So that's what you're going after with this question. How long should you have to wait? And how much are you willing to invest in learning the solution? You know, if it's only half an hour or half an hour 2 times to really understand how the product works, most people are willing to do that. All right, are you willing to pay for this easier solution? If you are, what would you be willing to pay for it? How much would a faster, better solution be worth to you? If it's a one-time solution, like one and done, you get your house painted, you get your house sprayed for bugs, you know, you're going to have to do that in 5, 10 years apart. You know, how much is that worth to you to know that you don't have spiders crawling on you? Every 3 months. Is that what it is? That's 2 responses. She doesn't like bugs. So it's worth more to her. All right, so these are the questions, as I said, they'll be in the document that I sent you tonight, and you can spend time crafting it specifically for your business. And if you want me to review it to see if it makes sense and to make sure that the questions are unbiased, I'm happy to do that. All right, and then you're going to take all that information, you're going to go back to your workshop, you put your glasses on, either in the middle of the night, knocking on things, and try to figure out what your solution needs to look like. And you can even make a prototype. So if it's a physical product, if it's a physical product, then you can make a prototype. Now, I don't know if you know where the Innovation Center is. It's over on 4th Street, kind of across, a little bit up from the 5th Street School. They have a makerspace there, and they are willing to train you to use their 3D printers. So you could actually mock up a physical object using a 3D printer. It doesn't have to work on the inside. If you can just give them an idea of what it's going to look like on the outside, then it's a wonderful thing to have something that people can touch. When you go back to ask them more questions about your solution. So even if you can mock up like buttons, you can push this button and then this would happen. And so you're not going to end up spending a lot of money to try to get this prototype to get more information back from the people that could be your customers. But now that we do have a product and it's more real, we're going to ask more probing questions to see how you can improve it and who else might use it and what other features you might like to have. Okay, so you're going to describe the product or service, hold it up if you have, let them touch it. That's very important. They get to actually physically touch it. And ask them, do you think this will solve the problem that we discussed last time? And if they're brand new people to you, you're going to set them up. You can hold the device in your hand, whatever it is, and say, I'm doing research. In fact, there's a script in this that gives you an icebreaker way sort of to talk to them. The people up at Fremont Street, a lot of them, since they are from across the country, they're actually usually pretty willing to talk. But you do ask them if they have a few minutes, 5 to 7 minutes. Don't say 10 minutes, nobody has 10 minutes. 5 to 7 minutes, and then they can talk to you for the first one. For the second one here, you do want to describe the problem again, and then show them what your prototype is. You can say, I was here 3 weeks ago. I talked to 27 people. I took their ideas back. I took my original idea. This is what I came up with. Then hand it to them so they can look at it. So with the problem in mind, do you think that this product would solve that problem? And then you can describe how it works so far. Right? Will it solve the problem? Why or why not? Why don't you think it would solve the problem? They don't have to answer yes or no. All right. What else do you think it should do? This is critical. sometimes people are put on the spot and they can't come up with something right away. But if you delve more into your problem, how it came to you, and what you used to try to do to solve it, you may trigger some ideas from that. And if they are, agreeable, and you can tell whether they're just trying to get through the interview because they agree to it, or if they're really interested in what you're doing. And then you can ask more appropriate questions. How would you change it? This is where you may learn if they would like for it to be blue, or they would like for it to be made out of wood, or metal, or whatever. It should be smaller. And smaller is not always easy to achieve at first, but over time you can try to make it smaller. Let's see, do you think the others you know with this problem would like this solution? So you're asking them to try to put themselves in other people's place to see if it would satisfy them. And what would you be willing to pay for this solution? Should I be looking at something?
So we're just admitting somebody.
Oh, okay. All right. How often would you buy it? Now that depends on what the problem is, of course. If it's a recurring problem. So if it's a computer, right? When your computer has so many uses and so many possibilities, I only want to buy a computer once every 2 years. I don't want to buy one every month, right? Who wants to? They're too expensive for that. And it's the whole setup that takes so much time. So I don't want to buy a computer very often. But how often would you be willing to buy it? And how much would you be willing to pay for it? So you're going to take and compare your answers from this round of questions, how much are willing to pay for it, where they've held it in their hands, and they have a better sense of what the solution might do, versus when you were just talking about the problem, and they were experiencing the problem, and the solution wasn't really well defined yet. So you may see a difference in those two pieces of information. When it becomes more real to them, they can be more realistic about what they would spend for it. But you can still have that aha moment where, yeah, it might work, but people are not willing to spend enough money to actually cover the cost and make a profit. All right, how often would you buy it? Would you consider testing an early version if made? So right now we only have a mock-up. We only have a shell of whatever the design is. So now you can get more information from a possible customer to be able to get in touch with them again. And they might be a beta user. So beta is a testing after you created it and you've tested it. You have to put it in the hands of users, and then they can test it. And beta testing is one of the best ways to improve your product and to find the bugs before you do a wider release. So I'm just not talking about software, I'm talking about physical products too. But again, it's a physical product. You don't want to go into manufacturing thousands and thousands of pieces if you can avoid it. You can get it made in sort of a mock-up way where it's functional, but not gorgeous, and have people test it for you. That's great. Let's be creative about these things. All right, would you consider testing an early version? If not, if it's not the solution for you, do you think it solves a problem for someone else? Because it might. And then you want to know, okay, who are those people? Who is going to need this product? Again, you might find that there are not enough people. You may have to broaden your level or your area where you're talking to people. And you can do this by putting a poll on social media. So you can do a TikTok poll. You can put a question in Quora. I find that Quora, you get a lot of crappy answers. It's like anybody can answer you. So I wouldn't put a lot of stock in the poll that you do in Quora, but LinkedIn and Facebook and TikTok, Instagram usually can't have too many answers there, but you can poll social media if you're trying to get a broader audience to respond to you. All right, and then where would you expect to find this product if you were going to purchase it? And it may be in different venues than you expected. They may say only on Instagram or TikTok, or they may say, well, I think that's Walmart product. Okay, but if it's an auto product, rather, it might be just in auto store. So asking them where they would expect to be able to find it can help you when you go to put your product out in the marketplace and have different channels of where you're going to sell it. All right, again, these questions are in the document we're going to send you tonight. We've got enough space for you to form the questions so it feels to feel fun. All right, the new customer is always thinking, what's in it for me? Why should I get it from you? And how much do I have to pay you to get that value? This is what we define to qualify the whole time. What you pay for it and how much, and where would you expect to find it? So features sell and benefits sell. So you can say that it's blue and it measures this and it essentially does that. But the benefit, this saves you 10 minutes a day. This makes it easier for you to talk to your kids. You want to give them the benefit that is going to give them peace, it's going to be more efficient, it's going to affect their lives in a positive way. Not just what it does, but how it works for you. So those are the benefits that you want to try to find. Well, that was really quick. So I expect there to be a lot of questions. Thank you. Now, I covered it really quickly. To do this right, it takes a lot of time. It takes time to craft the questions, to make sure that they're open-ended and not like, you don't want to lead them to an answer. Because you don't know what it is. When it comes to your business, you want to know that you are building something that other people want. The only way to know that is by talking to other people. All right, any questions? Answer. Number 8.
Yeah, so it's something that you're doing research.
Process.
Process.
Well, let's look at the other.
Oh, yeah, sorry, it was the process. Sometimes if you get like a no on your set on process too, they say it's not really valuable for a lot of things. This product, that's what people say. That's what they say. No, I don't like this. This is the right thing. It's easy to feel really bad on yourself.
Yeah.
So you're trying to have a positive process. It's also something else.
You're welcome, and you can add to these questions as well, especially if it comes to a specific feature or aspect of your product. You can ask that question. Like if you're really torn, thinking, I really think it should do this, and you've got mom and dad and business partners that, well, I really think it should do this, then you can put a question in here that goes either way. Do you think it's more valuable that it does this, or do you think it should do both of those things? So you can customize it for your product or service.
You want to say that it's almost as a question to use the craft or version 1 of the product in some way?
Yeah. In the first part, we're trying to get, what should it do? Like, I think it needs to do this to solve the problem. But by talking to other people, the collective, the mom, you can get other ideas that didn't occur to you. That's fine.
Oh, I was just saying hi. Oh, she was right.
Belonging.
Well, yeah, I guess I do have a question. So do you want us to create questions that relate to our business or what we're, planning on doing that are leaning more towards our discovery or?
Oh yeah, this is absolutely about you and your discovery and your journey. So, and notice I said maybe it's time to move on to the next idea. It's like, you want to do this and not waste a ton of time pursuing a product that nobody wants or a service. If you're really passionate about the service or the thing that you want to do, then you may try broadening the people that you're talking to see if there is an audience out there, if there is a customer segment that you just didn't happen to run into on Fremont Street. But if the evidence is telling you that there isn't a customer base for you, then I would say pursue another idea. You can always come back to that idea. There are times when if you're just ahead of the market, you're too early. The problem bothers you faster than it bothers other people, but they're going to get there. So you may be able to come back to that idea and pursue it again. Again, I would still do the customer discovery the next time around. See if it's time for that solution. Any questions online?
Anyone in the room?
So customer discovery is not easy if you have to put yourself out there. And a lot of times founders are shy and they know it's a problem for them and they are tinkering and working in their workshop and they come up with a solution. But they're afraid to go out and talk to people. And so if that's the case, you can find a friend to go with you. If you can explain to them what the problem and the solution is, then take a buddy. No problem with doing that. And if they're the one that's better at talking to people and interacting, then they can do all the questions and you can just be the one taking notes. And then if you do have a question, you can just pop in with that. So it's important to do this. And then once you do have customers, once you have sales, and as a founder, you should be thinking that you're the person who's going to get the first 30 to 100 sales. Even if your product costs $20,000, you're still going to have to be the one that goes out and gets those first customers. And then you want to keep talking to those customers. You want to watch the customers use your product. Because if you can see that they struggle with where they should go next on a piece of software, then you need to make that easier. You can improve your product without actually talking to them if you observe them struggling to know what to do next. So user interface in software is very important. Where the buttons are placed, how big they are, the color, what they say on them, all of that stuff is really important. And you can learn about that when you watch them use your product. Okay, and then if it's a physical thing, again, color is important to a lot of people, but it's made out of, sometimes I view cars as tools. So, you know, I don't have a fancy car. And it's white. And it's white so it reflects the sun. So I don't care what color cars are. None of those things make any difference to me. I am amazed at how many different colors of computers there are. Because again, that is just a tool for me. I don't care if it's black, whether it's silver. It doesn't have to be champagne. It doesn't have to be sea glass. It just needs to work. But your customers may have opinions about these things. So you want to keep talking to them even as they're using it. And especially if it is an iterative product where you're going to release a new version and you will move to tide, now we get fighting enzymes. You want to see how the changes affect your current customers because you don't want to lose them. You want to keep your current customers and workers. All right, any questions? Okay, and then online.
Then online.
All right, go back here to our check-in. If you guys didn't check in online, please scan here. Then we have a Slack channel where you guys can talk to each other as well as to us and ask questions, request things, ask for help and mentorship.
I just joined the Slack channel today.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, I was on a Slack channel for the previous job before, I just got to be a lot. Almost like an additional social media, and just, you know, I already have to use this. But yeah, if y'all are on it, it'd be nice to talk or even get other people to just kind of come in person too. So that you have people that are just like showing up online too, which is great as long as they're in the program. I think that there's a lot of people that are just missing out on just interacting with each other and stuff. So are there more people on the Slack, like are they messaging?
Well, everybody who is registered is on the Slack. Okay. They've been invited, but they do have to accept the invitation.
Okay. Then if you had 8 or 9 people join online today?
10.
10, wonderful. 10, and then we got several in the room here. But after we stop the recording, I'm going to probe everybody who's in this room and ask them customer discovery questions. So if there's nothing more online, we can end it as long as people had a chance to check in.
Thank you, everybody, for joining online. We have snacks. You hear what? Okay. We'll see you then.